Are you looking for the Life in the UK test? Correct answer here is C, the Scottish. So the Picts were the ancestors of the Scottish. Why? Because the Scottish are very picky people. They're very picky eaters. They're not really, but that's one way you could remember it. The Scottish are picky eaters. Are you looking to pass the Life in the UK test? Correct answer here is Iceni. And the easiest way to remember this is I see the Queen. I see the Queen. A lot of the training tips and tricks and secrets I'm going to tell you about is really about memorizing stories, about like how to make it easier. This is called sort of like mnemonics. I see Queen. I see Boudica. Are you struggling finding time on the Life in the UK test? The correct answer here is he was from Scotland. He was a Scottish poet. And the best way to memorize this is when you say Robert Burns, have a bit of fun. Have a laugh. You know, laugh a little bit. Robert Burns. He's from Scotland. Have you thought this is something that I need to do, but I'm just going to keep putting it off until until eventually either an angel saves me, or God comes and speaks to me about it, or someone prints off for me the Life in the UK test certificate, and somehow magically it's all going to be sorted. We've spoken to students like that who have just been waiting. Wait no more. I've got something really special for you. But before I tell you what I've got in store for you, I've got some wonderful free things in store for you. Hello, Fast Trackers. My name is Rahil Ghazni. I'm the Managing Director of Fast Track Training. We've been helping students for over 10 years to pass their citizenship exams. All these exams we've been doing for over 10 years. We are the #1 in the United Kingdom for training. It's our 10-year anniversary now, and that's the reason why we're giving away something for free. And all I want to do is just help you guys get this weight off your mind, this problem, this issue, this stress off your head, because it's really, really difficult for you to pass your exam quickly if you are always worrying about it. A lot of stress in your body comes from your mind first, and if you're worried in your mind about passing the exam, it limits your ability to actually do the work that you need to. So these 3 videos that I've made for you are absolutely free. They're designed to reduce your stress. They're designed to guide you on what I would do as a teacher who has been teaching for 11 years, what we would do as an organization if you would come to us to pass the exam quickly, but also stress-free, give you that peace, give you that relaxation, and not have you guys worry about anything. So this is sort of 3 videos to show you a pathway on how to revise for the Life in the UK test, how to study, how to set out your study timetable, and how to book the exam. And I'm going to give you an extra one just because I want to be very nice to you guys. I'm going to show you guys how to pass in 1 day. So stay all the way to the end of the videos. And if you have a friend or family member who wants to pass in 1 day, or wants to pass quickly, share this video with them. They need it more than anyone. You don't have to share it with everyone. You don't have to subscribe and show everybody all that sort of stuff. You can if you want, but I just need you to share this with people who need it, because the main goal is we want to try and reduce the amount of stress that our community is suffering from having exams put on them, like citizenship exams, speaking, listening exams, driving theory, taxi exams, lorry exams, Life in the UK exams. So without further ado, here's a brief overview of what you need to do to pass the Life in the UK test. And again, I do have some free checklists for you guys that I have printed for you. This actually here is for the actual students that register. So we have like actual questions and answers which are accurate from the test. I think these are like last week's questions that came out of the exam center from like students that passed. But this is the one I'm going to be putting on for you guys for free, along with a checklist. And this is just going to go through everything that you need to remember, all the main things that when I send students for the exam and they come back out, they tell me these things came on their exams. And, like what is the type of food that you need to eat? What is the type of food that British people eat, like haggis, roast potato, all that stuff. What are the flowers? What are the flags? How does a Union Jack come to be? That's very important. The 3 flags, diagonal, horizontal, and all the vocabulary that goes with it. But really today is mostly about me teaching you tips, tricks, and secrets. All these other papers are for the students that come for the training. This is actually funny enough. This is a student that passed their exam. and they just, you know, gave it back to me. Says, I don't need this anymore. I passed. I'm done. I was like, okay, cool. So I picked this up today, and I thought, you know, I'll just show it to you. Right. Okay, guys. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. What is the Life in the UK test? The Life in the UK test is a requirement to become a British citizen. If you are going for your British citizenship, indefinite leave to remain, it usually goes like this. You have, if you come in through a spouse visa, you can come in through many different ways. A spouse visa is A1 exam in the country that you live in. For my family, it's, you know, my family come from Pakistan, so I was born in Britain. So it goes A1 spouse visa. Then 2.5 years later, you go for spouse visa extension. 2.5 years after that, you go for indefinite leave to remain. So at 4 years, you should be 4 years in indefinite leave to remain. Sometimes you can skip, you can have the indefinite for many, many, many years. Sometimes you can keep renewing your spouse visa, which is very expensive. If you know anybody out there who's renewing their spouse visa regularly, get them in touch with us, because we don't want them spending an extra $2,500. And after the 4th of July, the new immigration laws will be coming out slowly. Get this done before those things happen, so that you don't have to worry or stress. So you don't want to spend more money than you have to. You don't want to spend more time than you have to. You don't want to spend more stress than you have to. You want to get it done in the fastest way possible. And so for the last 11 years, we've figured out how to do it in a day. We can do it in 8 hours. We can get you your certificate and pass you very quickly, or you can do it in 30 days online with us. So the test itself is 24 questions. You need 18 out of 24 to pass, and there are a lot of history questions. And I'm going to show you the history questions now. I just wanted to tell you the different pathways you can do. Now, some students say that they want to read the book, which is fine. You can definitely read the book. There's nothing wrong with reading the book. If you read the book, though, the questions and answers in the book are not the same as the real exam. And the reason I know that is because I've read the book. The government change the questions and reword it. So one thing you may find your friends and family members saying to you is, I revised for ages and I went to the test and it was all different. Yeah, that's because the government doesn't give you the same questions as the real exam. The book doesn't have the same questions as the real test. Otherwise, everyone would pass. Does that make sense for you guys? Like, please understand, the government never releases the same thing as the real test. If it says official guide, it doesn't matter. That's the government releasing the official guide. They are changing the things, because if they gave you the same questions, everyone would pass. You see? So the questions and answers that we like to take at Fast Track Training is over the years and years and years of sending students in, passing, failing, and then slowly that percentage went up. I mean, I'll give you an example. When like 12 years ago when we first started, I used to work in a call center, and I got a database of questions. I thought, you know, I'm going to write this up. I'm going to write up 1,400 questions, and I wrote the questions, and I wrote them by hand from the book. And when I wrote them from the book by hand, I realized that these questions were very good based on the book. But when students got it in their hands, nobody passed at all. So these questions I'm about to show you now are like the history questions, but these questions here, the ones that we give to our students, these are the same as the real exam. So when you go there, it literally is the same wording. Or they may try and reword it backwards and forwards, but we'll teach you so well that you'll just know everything and you'll pass on the first attempt anyway. So there is a way and there is a pathway of doing this. It's based on the frequency of questions that come out. So we teach by the frequency. Also, if you go on the YouTube channel or you go inside our training, I do like read from the history book. I don't read it and show it to you. I've read history books. I've read many books about the British history. So I just tell you stories. And the way that you want to pass is, please understand, you've come from another country. Let's say you come from India. You've come from Pakistan. You've come from the continent of Africa. This is not your history. You should not know geez, you should not know about Queen Elizabeth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not you. You don't have to learn this. Like, when did she get inaugurated? Stuff like that. You don't have to learn about like her son, King James, and all stuff like that. But I will tell you the stories to help you to understand it better, so that you don't have to read this book. You don't have to look into the history of the country. For example, one question we're going to come to in the test is about the Black Death here. So the Black Death, there's only one question in the entire test about Black Death, and it says 1/3 of people. That's it. But you don't have to read the whole chapter on the Black Death, which isn't very big, actually. Maybe it's because the Black Death killed it off, probably. Made the chapter smaller, a third smaller. But you know what I mean? You don't need to be reading these things. You don't need to be reading the books. When you come into a fast track course, the way that we want you to study, the way I want you to study, this is what I want you to do. I want you to use questions that come up on the test quite frequently and just use those questions to get through the exam. There's 18, you need 18 out of 24. There's 24 questions and you need to pass. So without further ado, let's get into some of these questions and let's go straight into it and check out what ways I would teach you how to do it. All right, fast trackers, let's get straight into it. Okay, so remember, you need 18 out of 24 to pass the Life in the UK test. We'll be covering the B1 test in another free checklist video, which is the 2 things you need to become British. In my opinion, there are only really 3 areas that you need to focus on, which is the culture, the history, and the government. Whatever else is in the book is fine. You can just split them into these main 3 categories. So question number 1, where was Boudica, Queen Boudica from? Was A, Italy, B, Germany, C, Iceni, or D, Pakistan? The correct answer here is Iceni. And the easiest way to remember this is I see the Queen. I see the Queen. A lot of the training tips and tricks and secrets I'm going to tell you about is really about memorizing stories, about like how to make it easier. This is called sort of like mnemonics. I see Queen, I see Boudica, or IBC. I don't know. Whatever way you want to do it, it's up to you. It's really about you bringing your own genius to how you memorize things. Question number 2. The Picts were the ancestors of what people? A, the Welsh, B, the English, C, the Scottish, or D, the Americans? The correct answer here is C, the Scottish. So the Picts were the ancestors of the Scottish. Why? Because the Scottish are very picky people. They're very picky eaters. They're not really, but that's one way you could remember it. The Scottish are picky eaters. So they're picky. They don't like all the food. They like a little bit of the food. That's one way to remember it. The Picts are the ancestors of the Scottish. Question number 3. Where did the Jutes, the Angles, and the Saxons come from? North Europe, South Europe, North America, South America. So where do the Jutes, the Angles, and the Saxons come from? North Europe, South Europe, North America, South America. The correct answer here is North Europe. Why? Well, because Europe, Northern Europe, it's easier to jump across the channel and get to England than any other part of Europe. So the Northern Europe has a channel from France to England, and that's the easiest way of getting over and getting through. That's the way I remember it. It's just a tip. It's just a trick. It's just a secret. Imagine someone hopping over the channel in one hop, and that's how easy they can get over. What year was the Battle of Hastings? 1246, 1066, 1166, or 1966? The correct answer here is 1066. So again, you don't have to read this really big book to memorize this, but this is the sort of stuff that we were taught as children. And now your children will tell you about this. They'll say, yeah, Mummy, Daddy, I know about the Battle of Hastings. It's 1066. I actually go through a lot of the tips, tricks, and secrets for this. For example, Battle of Hastings, there are about 4 or 5 questions that are lined up with this. And I think, actually, better than me memorizing it, because I think my memory is getting worse as I get older. Or maybe it's because I'm not teaching online classes as much as I'm teaching my face-to-face classes, whoever comes to see me face-to-face. Yeah, I wrote this all down here. Okay, so I used to be so hot on this. 1066 is the Norman Conquest. I think it's because I'm making more courses. I'm not always doing life in the UK. So you have like 1066 Battle of Hastings, which is associated with 1066. You have the Doomsday Book. You have the Tower of London, the White Tower, the Bayeux Tapestry. Norman, French, and Anglo-Saxon combined to become English after 1066. And William le Conqueror in 1066. So guys, you can download this sheet. It is available. I have given this like one of the free checklists that I give to my students if I want to pass them in a day. So you don't have to memorize it. You can put it in here. But the easiest way to remember this is there's an insurance company called Hastings Direct, 1066 1066. That's their telephone number. 0800, 1066, 1066. So if you wanted to memorize it in a certain way, you could say Hastings Direct 1066, 1066. Who became king after the Battle of Hastings? Sir Francis Drake, King Alfred the Great, King MacAlpin of Scotland, or William the Conqueror? So you have English, well, Anglo-Saxon, British before Anglo-Saxon, Scottish and French. So which king won the Battle of Hastings? Well, I can go back to my memorization sheet and I can see here, Battle of Hastings, 1066. Here is William the Conqueror. So all of these things together are the same answer in the test. You can download that below, by the way, guys. Okay, so William the Conqueror. What is the Magna Carta? A document signed by the king to reduce his power, a document which allowed the king more power, a horse which is ridden every year. The correct answer for this one is a document signed by the king to reduce his power. Now, I come from Nottingham, which is where Robin Hood comes from. And Nottingham is like halfway to being like Robin Hood because we take from the rich, but we haven't quite gotten around to giving to the poor yet. So, if you think 1215 and your teachers from Nottingham, Magna Carta is the Latin word for Great Charter. It means the reduction of the power of the king and the increase of the power of the people, or the nobles, mostly the nobles, so that the king can't do whatever they want. So it's reducing the power of the king, increasing the power of the noble people. What is the Black Death? A plague that killed a third of Britain, a plague that gave people the cold but no one died, a plague that only killed cats and dogs, nothing, it was a fun time for all. Okay, so do you remember I showed you in the book in the first half about the Black Death and like how it was like it killed a third of people? Well, basically that's this. So the Black Death is a plague that killed 1/3 of people. Now, the trick for the exam is that 1/3, it's like the only time you will ever see, let's say 1/3. That's the only time you'll ever be able to see 1/3 in the actual exam. So if you have like if you have this test come up and this question is like, what is Black Death? Or in Urdu we say Kali Maut. What is Kali Maut? It killed 1/3 of Britain, killed 1/3 of the people. That's all you want to know. The War of the Roses was fought between which two families? A, the House of Lancaster, B, the House of York, C, the House of Magna Carta, or D, the House of Agincourt? The correct answer here is the House of Lancaster and the House of York. So this is two families, the White Rose and the Red Rose. And when they fought, only the noble people really died. And the peasants and the servants were pretty much unscathed. There was a battle, the Battle of Bosworth Field, and then the White Rose was put inside the Red Rose, and then the king married the niece. I think her name was Philippa of York or something. No, I've put this in the training, but yeah, I completely forget sometimes the history. They don't ask you this history. What they're going to ask you is who fought between the War of the Roses, House of Lancaster, House of York. Done. That's it, finished. But if you want to learn more about it, you can go to the YouTube channel and check out more videos. You can join the course, but if you do join this course, we just get you passed. That's what we're doing. We're not here to teach you the history. We're here to get you British. But if you want to carry on learning history, we have loads of those videos. You can always watch all of the videos in our homework area. So who became King of Scotland after Mary, Queen of Scots, died? Her son James VI, her cousin Charles I, her husband William I. So the correct answer here is her son James VI. Now, the easiest way to remember it is when a queen dies, then the children take over the throne. So it will always be her son. And one of the other questions that comes with this is James VI became James I of England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. I think Scotland is obviously the first king of everything. I'll have to double check that. Again, I could read the book, but I don't need to read the book. But her son became King James I of all of these places, even though it says the 6th. If you don't know Roman numerals, by the way, just to help you out quickly, you see that V, that's a 5. And if the 1 goes after the 5, then it's a 6. If it goes before the 5, it becomes a 4. If there's 2 before the 5, it becomes a 3. Then it's just like 2 and 1, right? But if it's a 5, it goes 6, 7, 8, and then X. I think it's like X is like 10. But you won't go to X unless you're talking about Pope Francis. I think there's only one Pope. No, yeah, something like Pope Francis is like Pope X during King Henry VIII time, but we'll get to that one later. We won't talk about that here. I'm just trying to show you the technique that I would use if I was in your position. You're thinking of going for the test, you're thinking of training. Do this technique. It works. I've been using it with students for like over 11 years. We as a team of teachers have been really blessed and lucky to use this technique. It's called mnemonics. You can make acronyms, you can make bullet points, but when you go to the test, you'll be like a filing cabinet. You can just quickly reference an image and then you'll pass. This is the way we do it. Who sailed around the world in the Golden Hind? William Shakespeare, Sir Christopher Wren, or Sir Francis Drake? So the Golden Hind, in my opinion, I think one of my teachers said there's like the ram, like the head of a stag, like the antlers. I always thought it was the hind legs of a sheep and the golden fleece of Jason and the Argonaut, where he went to go find the golden fleece. So Francis Drake is like a dragon, and dragons come and pick up the sheep. And when dragons come and they pick up the sheep, it's like the golden hind of the back legs of the sheep. You know, you can have an image in your head of a dragon coming down, picking up the sheep. So Drake and golden hind, you'll just always make the answer. That's how I would do it. That's the way I would approach these questions. Make it a game, make it fun, have a laugh. Don't let it increase your blood pressure. I promise you, don't let it disturb your peace. Who was Lord Protector? King Charles I, Oliver Cromwell, King Henry VIII, or Elizabeth I? Now, there's a trick for this one. If you wanted to do this one, it's basically the only person that's not a king or a queen here. So it's the person without initials at the end of the name. It's Oliver Cromwell. Why? Because he killed the king. Cool. Okay, so he killed the king. It was regicide. Regicide means Baja ko maar diye, qatl kiye, ya Raja ko qatl kiye. So in Urdu we say he killed them, did qatl, you know, hun kiye. So he became the Lord Protector, right? So this is like the only person who's not a king or a queen. What year was the Great Fire of London? 1566, 1600, or 1666? Now, I'll give you a tip for this one. Who do you call when there's a fire? You call 999. You turn 999 upside down, it becomes 666, which is the fire. Yeah? Very good. Who designed St. Paul's Cathedral? William Shakespeare, Samuel Pepys, or Sir Christopher Wren? The correct answer here is Sir Christopher Wren. Now, I have a trick for you. I found out from the exam center that in the exam, you'll normally have William Shakespeare, Samuel Pepys, you'll have normal people's name. But when it comes to St. Paul's Cathedral, there's always Sir Christopher Wren. It's always the one with Sir. So St. Paul's Cathedral, S for Saint, S for Sir. Finished. You don't have to memorize anything. S and S, okay? That's it, done. That's generally the way we like to help students, is we just make it super simple. We know what the wording is. We know because we've been practicing for 11 years. So we're able to help you and guide you and support you to make it easier for you. So if you're reading English is not great, come on board, learn the stories. It's a lot easier. What did Isaac Newton discover? Gravity, electricity, or science? So this is where the person with an apple dropped the apple on the head. By the way, that story is completely fake. It didn't happen. It was just invented in the newspapers. The actual Isaac Newton inventing, going out and learning, figuring out about gravity. He just spent hours and days and weeks and months in his study chamber. He didn't even change his shoes. You know what I mean? He just slept on the bed and got up. He was also celibate. So, that tells you about how, we discovered gravity. He never discovered women. Is it a great trade-off for him? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, cool. So what did Isaac Newton discover? Not women. A, gravity. B, electricity. Or C, science. So the correct answer is gravity. Cool. Okay. Next one. The Prime Minister of England was A, William Shakespeare, B, Richard Arkwright, or C, Sir Robert Walpole. So the correct answer here is Sir Robert Walpole. Now, the best way to remember this is Sir Robert Walpole had many chins. His chins were very large. He was Robert Walpole, large chin man. He was Prime Minister for 22 years, the first Prime Minister, and he was there because the King didn't speak English, so he was Prime Minister for 22 years. The first ever Prime Minister, first Minister amongst equals. Robert Burns was a poet from England, Ireland, Scotland, or Wales. The correct answer here is he was from Scotland. He was a Scottish poet. And the best way to memorize this is when you say Robert Burns, have a bit of fun. Have a laugh. You know, laugh a little bit. Robert Burns. He's from Scotland. If you do it with the accent, you'll always memorize, oh, Robert Burns is a Scottish man. It's a Scottish accent. You know what I mean? He's a very famous poet. He wrote Auld Lang Syne. And so if you use a Scottish accent, it allows you to remember Robert Burns, the Scotsman. The carding machine was invented by A, the Huguenots, B, Richard Arkwright, or C, Sheikh Din Mohammed. The correct answer here, Huguenots were the French Protestants who came over, so it's not them. Sheikh Din Mohammed was the first man who made the curry house. Shout out to the curry house, which was called Hindustan Coffee House in 1802. Only ran for a few years, apparently. Maybe I have to look at the numbers again. A lot of this I used to know. 1810 to 1815 or something. Richard Arkwright. Now, the best way to remember this is carding machine is a machine that pulls the cotton and it makes cotton faster. It's the main reason why India is a superpower in its exports of textiles. One of the main reasons it started to decline was because Britain had invented the carding machine. The carding machine was it's like a printer of sorts. It made the job of 3 to 5 people, laborers, to just one laborer pulling and pushing. So it increased the output for minimum input. And so the machine, it was a lot easier to improve the output. And that's that plus slavery and industrial revolution of machine guns. That's what made the British Empire rise, is that they had output of items from raw materials, slavery, free labor, and they had the industrial revolution with the gun, so they had the cannon and the gun. So India slowly declined as a superpower, and then we know what happened after that. The Battle of Trafalgar was won by Napoleon, the Duke of Wellington, or Admiral Nelson. The correct answer here is Admiral Nelson. So the Battle of Trafalgar was Admiral Nelson, and let's skip this question. We'll come back to it. There's a trick here. The Battle of Waterloo was won by Admiral Nelson, Napoleon, or the Duke of Wellington. The correct answer here is the Duke of Wellington. Now let's slow it down and let's talk about this nicely. The Battle of Trafalgar is where you have it's a water battle, and what do you need on water? You need an admiral. An admiral is like a general of the water. Now the Battle of Waterloo is the opposite. It is a land battle. And what do you need for the land battle? You need someone with Wellington boots on, because it's going to get muddy. So on the water, it's the opposite. You need welly boots. So when you're in water, it's welly boots. Trafalgar, it's Nelson, because of Trafalgar's column in London. If you go to there, you can see a big statue of Trafalgar, Nelson's column. When were women given the right to vote at the same age as men? 1828, 1948, or 1882? I thought there was a mistake here, but it is not, so it's cool. So men and women were given the voting at the same age at 1928. Now, if you guys want to go back to your sheet, the free checklist that I've given you guys, you want to go over to, I think, like the last page. I have numbered these, haven't I? Yes, I have. Page number 7. It's got a list of all the people that are voting ages, like here somewhere. So it goes 1918 was the voting for women at the age of 13. 1928 was the voting age of the 21, and then 1969 was the voting age of 18. There's a couple of questions surrounding this. When did World War I start? Started in 1914. When did it end? 1918. And that's when women got the vote, because all the men had died. So all the property, the debt, the brothers, the fathers, and the children, they had perished in war. They had died in war. Shaheed ho gaya. Then you had the women that were working in the factories, but also who was going to inherit the wealth. They couldn't even vote. So they gave them the vote, and they gave it to them at the age of 30. Emmeline Pankhurst, who was a suffragette, campaigned for the women's rights to vote all the way up until 1928. The year that she died was the year that they got the vote. So you will get these questions in your test, but I have made it simple for you. I've tried to simplify as much as possible. But if you have any questions, please just WhatsApp us. get in touch with us. If you want to join the training and we just give you the full course and we just show you how to do everything in like 7 to 14 days or 30 days or 1 day, just get in touch. I'll do it for you very, very quickly. My team are very, very skilled and hardworking and caring and kind. They speak very nicely over the phone. Question 21. What term can be related to women who campaigned for their legal rights to vote in the late 19th century and early 20th century? Nuggets, Bridget, suffragettes. The suffragettes. So they are women who are suffering. They are suffragettes. They are suffering women because they don't get the vote. If they don't get the vote, husbands don't get dinner. Come on. We know the real politics of what's going on here. If you don't give women the vote, better not come home that night. You're sleeping on the sofa forever. Question 22. Who is Florence Nightingale? Founder of modern nursing, founder of the internet, founder of care homes. The correct answer is the founder of modern nursing. So Florence Nightingale is a modern nurse. Very interesting story. I won't tell it to you guys here because we don't have a lot of time. We've gone over time, so I do need to finish this quickly for you guys. When did the First World War end? 1917, 1918, 1919, or 1920? Correct answer here is World War I ended in 1918. Good job, team. Well done. Good job. Let's keep going. So the first section that I would love for you to focus on is history. The second section is modern thriving society. It is a little bit easier. And the third section is government politics. I will move through this a little bit faster because I've run out of time and I just wanted to show you the way I would do it. If I was in your position, this is how I would do it. What celebration takes place each year on the 14th of February? Bonfire night, Halloween, Hogmanay, or Valentine's Day? We know that Valentine's Day is on the 14th of February. Well done. Which of the following UK landmarks is in Northern Ireland? Snowdonia, Big Ben, Eden Project, or Giant's Causeway? This is Giant's Causeway. If you're a fan of Star Wars, they use Giant's Causeway in the film. But Snowdonia is in Wales. Big Ben is in London. Eden Project is in Cornwall. How do we remember Eden Project? Well, it's you can grow corn in the greenhouses of the Eden Project. Which two patron saints' days occur in March? St. Patrick, St. David, St. George, and St. Andrew. I don't remember this one bit. I literally can never get this right. So I wrote it. It was the first thing I wrote down on the checklist because I always get this wrong. St. Patrick and St. David's Day occur in March. So this is which two patron saints' days occur in March? St. Patrick and St. David. Well done. Which two foods are associated with England? Roast beef, fish and chips, haggis, and Ulster fry. So again, we're going to go over to the cheat sheet. So here we go. We go to Scotland and Wales. We have roast beef. England's got its roast beef, fish and chips. Here, that's English food. And Scottish food is haggis. If you don't know what haggis is, let me help you with that. Haggis is the stomach lining of a sheep that you put together with offal and sweat and intestines and all sorts of wonderful juicy stuff, and then you wrap it up and then you boil it in water and then you serve it with a bit of whiskey. Apparently, you don't have to. If you don't drink alcohol, you don't have to have a whiskey. But that's it right there. My favorite is Welsh cakes because they could be served hot and cold. They're really nice. Like I really like Welsh cakes. If anyone passes their test and you want to do something nice for the teacher, you can either bring me Welsh cakes or fufu, because nobody brings me any fufu. Fufu is like an African cassava type of like mash. I always see people eating fufu. No one gives any fufu to me. I never get any fufu. I'm really sad. It's been like 5-6 years and no one's ever fed me fufu. Right, Ulster fry. This is Northern Ireland, Ulster fry. And with Ulster fry, you have like eggs, bread. I don't know if you guys can see this. You can download it. You can see it, like the eggs, bacon, sausages and stuff. But black pudding. Now, black pudding is pig's blood congealed and fried. So if you don't partake of the pork, of the soor, don't have the Ulster fry, have the continental Ulster fry, which is the vegetarian one, which is basically like a full breakfast. So that's all there. And I have patron saints and it shows a little bit about them. So which two foods are associated with England? Roast beef, fish and chips, haggis, and Ulster fry. The correct answer here is roast beef and fish and chips. So if you want to have a look on the the paper here, I have a list of all of the food. So it's like fish and chips, roast beef, haggis, and Welsh cakes. And so you can download it and have a check out there. I'll give you a little bit more information about each one in the videos. What's the highest value note issued as a British currency? £20, £100, £70, or £50? The correct answer is £50. So nobody gets money questions wrong, and I don't expect you to get money questions wrong either. I expect you to be really good at this and not throw away any marks on money. Which of the following statements are true? Women in Britain make up a quarter of the workforce. Women in Britain make up the half of the workforce. Half. It's always 50-50 in English society. Looking after the kids, looking after the family. Oops, sorry. Is the following statement true or false? The Lake District is England's largest national park. The answer is yes, and I'll show you a trick. If they ask you lake, it's English. If they ask you for loch, loch is Scottish. So here's a list of all the Scottish words, and there's Loch, Loch Lomond, Bonnie Prince Charlie, Highlands, Turzocks National Park, Haggis, Robert the Bruce, Battle of Bannockburn, and Robert Burns and Ord Lan Zine. Yeah, all of this is Scottish words. Well done. Which two of the following are traditional British foods? Haggis, sushi, strudel, or Welsh cakes? The correct answer is haggis and Welsh cakes. Now, for me, I love Welsh cakes. I've never tasted haggis, actually. Haggis in a can is apparently a thing. One of my students told me about it. But sushi is Japanese and strudel is German, I think. Which is nice. Okay, so this is the last part that I would condense the entire Life in the UK book into 3 places: government and politics, values of society, and history. And so this is the last part. If you get these, this is how I would start it. The UK has which type of monarchy, king or queen? Constitutional monarchy, absolute monarchy, democratic monarchy, or free monarchy? The correct answer is constitutional monarchy. Well done. So it means that you can vote, and the queen, the king gets involved with the politics by just giving advice. But the people who run the country are the people who are voting. So the people, the common people, and the lobby groups, and the people, big businesses. Yeah, so we get that's not in the test. So just House of Commons is for common people. House of Lords is for the people of the who are the Queen and the King's friends. The Queen is dead now. She's died. Sorry. So now it's the King. So God save the King. Name the 2 houses in the UK government: the House of Commons, the House of Lemons, the House of Fraser, the House of Lords. The correct answer is House of Commons and the House of Lords. So name the 2 houses in the UK government: House of Commons, House of Lords. So you're either a commoner or you're a lord. It's back from the feudal times. What is the voting system that the UK uses at the moment? First past the post, proportional representation, disproportional representation, or complete anarchy? The correct answer is first past the post. It's like a racehorse that races in the race. Only the horse that gets it over the line, they're the ones that win. Only the horse that gets over the line wins. So it's first past the post. They get everything. In other countries like Republic of Ireland, or in like Italy and Italy has a proportional representation in which you get prescribed votes based on the proportion that you have. Who is the speaker? The person who chairs the debates in the House of Commons, the person who speaks the most and is giving an award, the Prime Minister's favourite politician. The correct answer is the person who chairs the debates in the House of Commons. So the person who chairs the debates in the House of Commons is the speaker, because they're speaking and letting one side and the other side have their turn. What does MEP stand for? Member of European Parliament, member of European Pikey Minister, member of European Peacemaker. So MEP stands for Member of European Parliament. Well done. What does PM stand for? Prime Minister, Optimus Prime, or Peacemaker? PM stands for Prime Minister. All right. Well done, guys. That's the end of this training in terms of getting a checklist at the beginning. I just wanted to say that if you are really struggling with these questions, always try your best to have a positive attitude, but get the right questions. Now, these questions here are not the same as what I have here. These questions were written years ago when I did, I reworded the book and I tried to get as many questions as possible. But how I'm telling you to look at these questions is really important because it will help you to memorize the entire course that we have. These are the questions from the test because I've been checking with the students. Every time they go into a test, I find out are these the same? How did they go for you? What questions came up? And they just circle it. So yeah, this came, this came, this came. Oh, sorry. This is a little bit different. It's this one here, Life in UK. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much everything that we have for today. That's all that we have time for. But in the next checklist, I'm going to show you guys how to pass in one day. So stay to the very, very end. I'm going to show you how to set up your calendar for studying. The next video is about how you study. So now that you know at the very beginning, you know the technique of studying, in which you make a story. Just to recap, you make a story, you make an idea, you give like a really funny, genius kind of way of like memorizing something. Like you got Henry VIII and his 6 wives died, divorced, executed, died, divorced, executed, survived. Charles II hid inside of an oak tree. Charles I was executed, killed like that. The fire of 1066, Hastings Direct, 1066. The Great Fire of London was 1666 because you turn 999 upside down, it becomes, 1666. And so when you use that technique and you approach the questions and answers, you'll be fine. But make sure there are 2 problems that you have when you're doing this. You can read from the book, but the book doesn't have the same questions as the real test. You can read online and you can go through questions. And there are some really good websites that have similar questions, but they're not precise, not exactly the same. You want to get the same questions as the real test because that can reduce your study time schedule a lot. If you get wrong questions and you study for 20, 30 hours on wrong questions and you go to the test, you may be able to pass because you've studied quite a lot and you learned everything, but you won't have the same questions as a real test. A lot of students who don't have very good reading, they try to memorize. They call it ratta. Like they like to memorize without knowing the meaning of it. If you're going to try and do that, get the same questions as the real test, and then you can do that, no problems. In this training course, we've collected over 11 years, so it's not a problem. In the next video, the next part, I'm going to show you guys how to set up your study timetable. If you're working 9 to 5, if you're working in the evenings, if you're working night shift, if you've got kids, I'll tell you exactly the precise places that you can start studying, and then we can get to it from there, guys. So fast trackers, thank you so much for joining us on this first checklist. Go down below. You can download your checklist. You can have a look at the stuff and then click the button for number 2. Go straight on to the next section. We'll see you on the next video. Have a wonderful day.
Would you like to speak with a teacher and get started straight away? You can begin in just 3 simple steps. Step 1. Visit our website by clicking the link below. Step 2. Fill out our inquiry form with your details, and we will contact you back shortly. If you would like to speak with us straight away, then click the WhatsApp Now button and message us today. Step 3. If you are ready to start learning, then click on the course you would like. Once you have filled in your payment details, click Purchase and you will have access to your course. A teacher will contact you back within 24 hours to speak with you about your training. It's as simple as that. To request more information, leave a comment below and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Secure your future today with Fast Track Training. Worldwide learning and tuition.